always been traditionally Terrific Tuesday for myself, but I have gone on to bigger and better things. My goodness. But I'm starting to consider this as, let's talk about the health and wellness, or let's talk about it, health and wellness edition on Tuesdays. I don't know, it's a work in progress. All right, if you've watched week 1, then obviously with week 2, you're going to be very generously asked by myself to give me 1 moment so I can send out my links, and then we can get going. My goodness, okay, here we go. So I'm going to my links. I'm going to send my link. I'm going to send my wing, link, wing, bing, ding, dum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. That's me. Awesome. And share. Perfect. It is perfect. I am sending it out right now. Give me 1 moment. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second, please. My goodness. Okay, here we are. And I've got to send it to, there's William. And send it to Jenna. If you want to get a reminder of Monday's Anger Management, Mad Mondays Anger Management, Health and Wellness Tuesday, let's talk about it. Or parenting education reminders on Thursday, just let me know. I can send you a link, which is what I do before every video. But super hello, my goodness, my name is Jeremiah with Red Nose Wellness, and each week I'm offering some type of way to offer you education based on the day. Monday is Mad Mondays, Anger Management. Tuesdays, let's talk about health and wellness, and Thursdays are what the parenting education. Why? Because why freaking not? Hello, thank you for watching. All right, so health and wellness with Jeremiah. Right as well. Okay, so like I said, it's going to be over the 8 dimensions of wellness, which last week we went over: emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, intellectual wellness, environmental wellness. Yes, that is a picture of Tulsa, if you were wondering. Physical wellness, financial wellness, occupational wellness, and social wellness. Each week we're going to be going over one of those dimensions. Since this is week 2, first week was introductions, week 2 is going to be over emotional wellness, which I'm going to be going over spiritual wellness and all of those throughout the entire weeks. Hello, Jana! Welcome to Let's Talk About It. Talk About It Tuesdays, Health and Wellness. It's a working title, I swear. My goodness. Today, like I said just a moment ago, we're going to go over emotional wellness. So the way that I'm going to actually have these videos created is that they're going to be broken up into which tells you which topic. So if someone doesn't want to necessarily learn about the emotional wellness, well, next week I'm going to be going over spiritual, and then thus forth, and what kind of goes over that. I'm going to have different speakers, and I'm still working on it, but it's going to go for kind of that principle. All right. So emotional wellness. Emotional wellness is coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. It's being in that state of okayness emotionally, because if I'm not emotionally invested in something, then it's like the lights are on, but nobody's home. Self-awareness, being aware of your own self, emotional regulation, and your cognitive approach. You ever say, "Hey, how are you?" And someone's like, "I'm good." And they're really dead inside. They have that like meme that pops up and it's like, I'm fine, everything's fine, but everything's kind of a dumpster fire. It's like, I'm here, okay? I'm emotionally absent. Well, before we get into any of the different dimensions of wellness, you have to take care of that. I'm here. Well, how do you get there? Well, sometimes it's talking to people. Sometimes it's talking to yourself. Sometimes it's working on other dimensions of your wellness to help appreciate or show attribution towards your own emotional well-being. So, self-awareness, understanding your emotions, your triggers, your reactions is the foundation of emotional wellness. Being aware allows you to recognize what you're feeling and why, which helps you manage your emotions rather than being controlled by them. i.e. I teach anger management. If I'm going to be angry because I don't like traffic, and I know every time I get on traffic, everyone has a fair chance of me just ramming my car into it, well, I know that 5 o'clock traffic and I are not friends. And so I should do my best to not partake in the 5 o'clock traffic bullshit that a lot of people like to partake in. I'm sorry. But guess what? I can't control other people. I can only control myself and my own emotions. And I know if something is going to trigger me, I ought to stay as far hell away from it as possible. Am I right? You know I am. My goodness. Or maybe I'm not. Maybe you disagree. Let me know in the comments. Emotional regulation, whenever someone says emotional regulation, now I'm reading this because I know that on the screen you're probably not getting a really clear view of what this is. If you want a copy of it, I have no problem sending you my slides. Unlike other presenters that are very safeguarding and gatekeepers of their information, this is free information that you can find on Google, but if you like how I'm presenting it, I have no problem sending it to you. Emotional regulation, this is the ability to manage and respond emotional experiences in a healthy, constructive way, especially during stressful or challenging situations. It includes calming techniques, reframing negative thoughts, and responding rather than reacting. Now, that's actually a big key factor. I will definitely send them to you, Jana. Responding rather than reacting is a huge, huge, huge topic in itself. Now, there's a difference between I'm going to respond to a situation, I'm going to acknowledge it, rather than going, oh, damn, get the hell away from me, I don't want anything to do with it, rather than getting emotionally aroused by different situations. I.e., I know I am not the most happiest person in traffic. Actually, in fact, I hate traffic. I really hate traffic. If you didn't know that, you know that now. Being able to acknowledge, I know that I do not like traffic. I know that traffic bothers me. That right there is responding of, well, what can I do about it? I cannot drive in traffic. Well, you can't avoid it. Correct. But I can purposely make sure my shows start at 6, end at 7, so there is absolutely the best chance that I'm not going to run into 5 o'clock, 6 to 6:30 traffic. Hello, can you hear me? I'm going to respond rather than I'm going to end up showing up to the traffic and I'm going to end up getting mad. Well, I didn't check myself before I wreck myself. Know what I mean? My goodness. Resilience and stress management. Stress management. What? Anger management, health and wellness. There seems to be a trend going on here, Jeremiah. My goodness. You were always talking about management. Now you're talking about health and wellness and the 8 dimensions of wellness. And you're telling me about stress management? Yes, you need to be aware of the things that stress you the hell off. Like, come on. If I know that I'm going to see a certain individual that stresses me out, I need to prepare myself. I need to prepare myself not just for myself, but for other people around me. Because nobody likes one of those individuals that are part of a group or comes into a function and they're just miserable. But a lot of the times we're miserable because we didn't check what's up before that goes up. My goodness, if that wasn't a trademark song, I'd be playing it constantly. So, resilience and stress management. Emotional wellness involves building the capacity to recover from setbacks, adapt to change, handle adversity without becoming overwhelmed, practice like mindfulness, self-compassion, support, networking, strengths, and resilience. What the heck does that mean, Jeremiah? My goodness, I'll tell you, don't worry. It means that you need to be open to change, but to understand that nothing is set. Nothing is permanent. And when nothing is permanent, you need to be ready for situations to change. And if you get upset whenever situations are changing, you like to say, well, I'm OCD. No, you're particular. There's a difference between very particular to certain situations and OCD. Like, check your facts, you goof, my goodness. But whenever you're particular, I particularly like things to go a certain way. I particularly like to be on time. Well, something stops you from being on time. Well, that makes me mad and that makes me angry. There's a lot more than just going, well, that makes me mad, that makes me angry. There's so much more that goes in to you as an individual rather than the whole as a situation. Like we're a hot mess and we're all on this wonderful rock we call Earth together, and it's kind of groovy. So you do have to have that resilience and that stress, but we don't build that up. And a lot of the times that's built up by co-regulation and self-regulation. Well, I get easily tempered because that could have been your caregiver. My dad was easily tempered. You learned your self-regulation, your co-regulation, your self-regulation from your co-regulation from your caregiver when you were a child, whomever that may be, to respond and to react into certain situations. I.e., mama has fruit. Mama drops fruit. Mama gets mad because fruit is on ground. You see mama get mad because mama dropped fruit. Now, when you drop fruit, you are very likely to get mad, and you wouldn't be able to tell me why. Well, because the fruit hit the ground. Well, why did you respond in such a way? Why didn't you just pick up the fruit and go on with your day? Well, that's a silly question. No, that's where your self-regulation came from, your co-regulation, which actually comes from resilience and stress management, which leads me on to number 4, Your Honor, which is positive relationships. Emotional well-being is absolutely freaking based on positive relationships. Hurt people hurt people. When you surround yourself around people that are hurt, you're going to start feeling aggravated. You're going to feel irritated. You're going to feel absolutely like dog shit. But when you surround yourself around people that, well, bring you up and they're kind of a positive reinforcement, and instead of saying, you're right, all is going to hell, and instead they surround you with, hey, you've got this. Is this thing on? Huh? You've got this. It's gonna be fine. We're going to find a way. We have got this. Surrounding yourself around that positive influence, because hurt people may hurt people. Yes, that is true. But healthy people help healthy people. And healthy people try to help hurt people. And it's a battle we will have for the rest of all of existence of humanity until AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. No, I skipped AI. Yes, I skipped AI because a lot of the times they're specific. AGI comes and makes us obsolete. You have no other option to move on. Absolutely correct, Jana. My goodness. So, positive relationships. Healthy emotional wellness is linked to building and maintaining supportive, respectful, and trusting relationships. Emotional intelligence, like empathy, active listening, clear communication, plays a big role in this. And guess what? I am not subjected away from this. I actually am included in this. Sometimes I need to learn to shut up rather than try to offer solutions. It's true. Give me 1 second. Oh. Sometimes, no. Now what? Oh, that I said no second or that I got off a roll. No, go back to it. Positive relationships, active listening, clear. Oh, you said no. Like, no, I got you. My goodness. I have to actively work on it. I have to actively work on trying to be the best me that I can be. If you were stuck in traffic with me, you would see a whole nother side of me that would look very much like this. What the fuck is wrong with you? Goddamn motherfuckers. I'm just going and just. What? Boy. They got their license from Stupid Town being stupid. Dumbass motherfuckers. God damn, fuck them. Hate them. Can't stand them. Just don't know how to drive. You must be from Texas. God! How about everybody just actively and consciously decide to not drive on the fucking road? That'd be great. Oh, 10 points, 9 points, 15 points. Internally, this is internally how I'm feeling. Now, obviously, I'm not going to act as so abrupt or so absurd, but maybe not. 50-50. Depends on if I'm having a good day, a bad day, a round day, or a long day. But I don't particularly care for traffic. And if we're engaging in a conversation and I'm irritated because the driver's in front of me, then you're probably going to get the lashing end of it. And a lot of the times that might be scary, because what if you came out of an abusive relationship? Or what if you came out of XYZ situations? Okay, so what does Jeremiah have to do to help self-regulate? Well, Jeremiah has to self-regulate by consciously and continuously reminding myself, either verbally or mentally, that it is not okay to act that way. I have to be aware that whomever is in my passenger seat doesn't deserve any negativity that I might want to spew. I might be irritated and I might say some hurtful things. I say, hey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be like this. I know I get super irritated, and it's not you. I'm aggravated. You work it out. Whoever's in your passenger seat, you should, unless you're an Uber driver or something of the sort, you should not let strangers just into your passenger seat. You should be someone that you trust, or someone that you care about, someone that is close to you, because this is a close proximity. This is close enough to where I'm driving and you could hit me or you could hurt me, and I don't want you that close. So if I'm driving with you in a car, it's because I like you, or I trust you to some degree. Whenever I worked in public mental health and I had clients that I had to go pick up, until I actually got a good feel, or I had a good relationship built, whatever that capacity looked like, I was very likely not to have that close of an interaction until I get a good feel. It could be instant seconds. It took a few days, but I had to do that for myself. And that wasn't just towards clients. That was actually towards coworkers too. When I first started, I actually had coworkers that would want to go take a ride along and go see a client from home. And if I didn't trust them, I'd skip. I'd go on to the next. You never knew it because I never had to state it. I never had to say it. I had to check myself before I wrecked myself. I had to make sure that my emotional wellness was actually in par. Because hurt people, and I have to know that. But I have to be conscious enough and aware enough of, how am I today? If I was having a bad day, a really bad day, I would call out. Or I would at least do the bare minimum work, because I knew that, hey, there's certain functions that had to be met. But this isn't just my past experience. This is even today. This is even yesterday. This is when I go to Walmart and I see someone that, just by judge of character, because we all make judgments of character, you say, something's off about that person. Well, guess what? You have to make sure that you are conscious enough to not get close to that proverbial bear, whatever it may be. It's not necessarily, because I see traffic is one of your triggers, which to try to avoid. It's not necessarily to avoid, but it's to be aware. Yes, to avoid in one instance that I know that I get pissed off at traffic, but being aware enough to make the decision of, well, what can I do? Can I avoid it? Yes. But can I also use my time wisely and sparingly enough to where, yes, I get to avoid it, but I also don't have to make that the victimhood. A lot of the times we have shame when it comes to avoidance, and you hear a lot of mental health professionals that will say, oh, you're avoiding this, you're avoiding that, you're avoiding talking about this. Sometimes you need to avoid talking about certain subjects, and you need to avoid certain situations which you know that you can't self-regulate. Now, there's times that I have to go into traffic And I know I have to go into traffic, and so I just suck it up, buttercup, and I have to be very aware with the people that are around me, as such as my passenger, that we have a continuous conversation that is healthy for everybody involved. I hope that makes sense. It's funny, I use my chairs as those examples a lot of the times. Well, Jeremiah, is that it? Well, no. Whenever you talk about positive relationships, you also have to put into perspective of purpose and meaning. Feeling connected to a purpose, whether personal, professional, or spiritual, contributes to an emotional stability. When people engage in activities aligned with their values and passions, it boosts overall emotional health and life satisfaction. Find yourself a hobby. Now, anyone that has ever had any type of addiction or any recovery whatsoever, this next line is going to be absolutely hit home for you, right? Addiction lies in isolation. Sobriety happens in sense of community. If you turn to a vice to which you feel those dopamine receptors in your head start responding to because it's something that you enjoy or makes you feel good or temporarily prolongs discomfort, alcohol, smoking, gambling, you name it, sex, hoarding, sports. Now you're like, sports? Why is sports on that kind of? People will actually throw more into gambling. They'll go into sports. They'll actually go into more of an avoidance. There's a whole line of different things. Okay, so what do I do? First, with any of that, you have to be aware and you have to admit it. Kind of like the 12 steps. But don't worry, it's like Fight Club. We won't talk about the 12 steps. We won't talk about Fight Club. I'll totally talk about the 12 steps. You got to admit it to yourself and your higher power, which is 100% true, but you have to at least be aware of it. Let's say someone has a gambling or sex or hoarding issue. That actually will affect into their emotional well-being because then they'll be affected. And so what do? Well, first you talk about it. Hey, I'm worried that this might actually happen. Well, that worry is stress. Food. Yes, food is another one. Food. I'm worried that I might eat 6 hot dogs. Why? Because food gives me comfort. Okay, well, first you have to say, hey, I need to be aware that I have an overconsumption and food brings me comfort. It's how I've always coped. Obviously, you're talking to me. My goodness. So what do? Well, I may want 8 hot dogs, but I'm going to limit myself to 2. Okay, well, what about gambling? It's like a lot of these different addictions, a lot of these different finding purpose and meaning, because the contrast, the duality is addiction. You have to have that conversation. You have to have a sense of community, and that's where a lot of the times, like 12 AA, NA. CA, Celebrate Recovery, Not Cocaine's Anonymous. Well, that too, my goodness. Going to church, finding yourself like peer support or a wellness coach. Hello, my goodness. A lot of the times that falls into the factor. A lot of times people hear health and wellness and they'll go, what is that? It encompasses and an umbrella as me to be able to be a supportive nature in some regards and offer educational vocations towards these type of things. See, that's the thing about purpose and meaning. A lot of the times we don't know what that looks like. We don't know where to go. We don't know how that's structured or how that's set up. And we're like, well, Bob's my uncle. I don't know what to do about that. Well, that's where you actually have to have that emotional awareness and realize that it's going to be affected one way or another. And so the cool part about this is, one, you're not special. If you have these moments where your emotional wellness is down, then find someone that you feel comfortable talking to. Could be a therapist, could be a friend, could be a preacher, could be a homeless individual that sits at the bus stop and waits for the never coming bus. That's a real thing, because there's an individual that I actually historically will talk to. It doesn't look how you think it looks. And whatever you think is wrong with you, it's not wrong. You just need to be aware of it. Like, you need to have that honest discussion, and then find a game plan before potential catastrophe happens. That's actually how you take care of your emotional wellness. First, you got to talk about it. First, you have to be self-aware. Okay, well, once I'm self-aware, then what? Then what, Jeremiah? Well, after you're self-aware, you need to find a way, the ability to manage and to respond to your emotions. I'm aware that I get triggered by XYZ. Well, now that I'm aware that I get triggered by XYZ, how do I regulate that? Well, a lot of that actually goes into the resilience of being resilient, of being able to control your emotions through self-management, stress management, being able to recover from setbacks, which actually happens from reinforcing yourself with positive relationships. Oh, hey, honey, sometimes the negative people come in your life. You got to tell them to get the hell on. They just need to get the hell on out of your life. You don't need that negativity in your life whatsoever. My goodness. And here we go. Boom. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? My goodness. So you have to have that positive relationships. But see, that's the thing, is this actually all goes with itself. You can't be self-aware without having emotional regulations. You can't have emotional relations without learning through positive relationships. Well, you can't have positive relationships unless you have that purpose and meaning, which you can, but it makes it hard sometimes. It makes it a little difficult. All right, we got a call in. My goodness, it's Daniel Roper. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Good. How are you? You don't answer.
No, you are good. You are live on Talk About It, Health and Wellness. Yeah, you are live. I got a question. For you.
Okay.
How do you take care of your emotional wellness? What do you do for you that helps you check yourself before you wreck yourself?
Usually get away from the situation and call my wife.
Yeah? Oh.
My emotional support person.
You're not watching this, are you? Currently?
No. I have no idea. I had no idea you were even on live. I'm driving down the road.
You just hit literally the main points of emotional wellness. Being self-aware. Emotional regulation is being able to manage and respond to emotional experiences in healthy, constructive ways. Positive relationships, healthy emotional wellness linked to and purpose and meaning, finding a connected and a purpose. My goodness, you just hit all of the main points of emotional wellness.
Does it always happen that way? Absolutely not.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
I strive when I start feeling myself getting to that point. I try and remove myself from whatever situation it is that's causing the issue and call my wife. And I don't know what it is about talking to her. She's able to talk me away from exploding.
Isn't that cool? That is the coolest thing, is being able to have a best friend or to have some type of connection to where you have that support. I know I'm getting mad. And I need to check myself before I wreck myself.
Absolutely, because if you let yourself get beyond that point, then Johnny Law comes and puts your hands in handcuffs, where you start losing things in your life. And so you have to know yourself in order. Nobody else is going to be able to know that you're at that point. You have to learn how to, like you said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. You have to learn how to keep it from getting to that level, because I've exploded on people before. I'm not a saint, but there's you have to know when enough is enough and stop it before it gets to that explosive point.
Which is just the self-awareness. Like, that's where it starts. It's kind of
exactly self-awareness. Nobody else. My wife has no idea a lot of times if I don't tell her that I'm getting angry. Sometimes she can tell in my body language, but a lot of times she has no idea. And then also, you also don't bottle all the little things up, because you bottle all the little things up, and that's
the small things become everything.
Yeah, you're basically putting more gunpowder inside of the bomb when you're bottling things up, and so you need to let go of those little things before they become that bomb that blows up.
I think the question a lot of people typically have, though, is how do I let go? And I often like to refer to people of you have to have that leap of faith. You have to have that leap of faith that everyone is not out to get you. You have to have that leap of faith that someone has your best interest in mind, and that some people out there, especially if you surround yourself with the right people, the healthy people, that they care about you and they will help you whenever you need it most. But asking for help is the hardest thing.
It is, and finding relationships and building relationships with people that have that capability. And even, like, sometimes my wife's not the right person to call. I got to call somebody else.
You got to call Jeremiah.
I got to call Jeremiah, or I got to call somebody else. It depends on the situation as to who I feel like is the best one to help me through that situation. But it starts with building relationships with several people. The people who don't try and build relationships with others are the ones that tend to sadly suffer the most. The ones that try and network and meet more people and to broaden their friendships, no matter how difficult it is.
Because it's not easy.
To be able to control their emotions better. Because you can't have just one person you go to, because what if that one person is sick, or what if that one person is at work and can't answer the phone, or what if that one person is fill in the blank? You have to have more than one to go to.
But that doesn't happen instantaneously. That doesn't happen just overnight.
It does not happen instantaneously. It can take months and it can take years to build relationships with people you trust, to be able to share those experiences with. And maybe if you don't have somebody like that, you also could do like counseling. Go to see Jeremiah, and he can put you in with resources to help with those issues, whatever issue you're facing. And remember that there's no issue that's permanent. Everything's temporary.
I am going to make a shirt that says nothing's permanent, everything's temporary, because that is one of those, like, you ever have one of those life noble truths that you go, I know this to be true. Like the common saying that we both heard growing up, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. You got it from your grandpa, I got it from my dad, and it's one of those true statements. And it's like, nothing is permanent ever.
Yep. Nothing is permanent. Now, there are some times when a temporary situation can become permanent because of the choices we make.
True.
But the whole point is to not let it get to that point.
Which is not avoidance. That is self-regulating.
Avoidance is not how you keep a temporary problem from being a permanent issue. There are people that have done a lot of violent crimes in their life, and they're going to be in prison the rest of their lives because a temporary conflict came up and they made a permanent decision that affected their life permanently. But we as people have to figure out how to step outside of that and check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Because that's the decision. Those are some of the decisions that are made that you can't reverse. if you murder somebody, you can't bring that person back, and you have to pay for whatever the judge and jury of your peers decides is your fate on that crime.
Which is funny that you say that. I was actually, before you called, I was briefly actually talking about how I hate traffic. I loathe traffic. And so one of the ways that I deal with such rage and anger towards traffic is that I don't leave at 5:00. I don't go and get on the highway at 5:00, which in one way is avoidance because I'm avoiding that potential conflict, but I'm also self-aware. And so I keep myself busy, or I schedule my time to where I don't have to have that potential conflict pop up.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's avoidance, more than just, like you said, you're planning to prevent an issue from arising.
I agree with that, actually. I like that a lot better. I actually really do like that a lot better.
Sometimes you can schedule your life to where you won't have that conflict come up, but there's a fine balance you have to maintain as well, because you can't avoid everything in life.
No. You have to pick and choose. You have
to pick and choose, and you have to also be careful that you're not avoiding the wrong things.
Right, like taxes.
Yeah, taxes. That's one. But by not avoiding, avoiding rush hour traffic is one of those things you can avoid by planning around it. But you can't avoid your wife. Eventually, you're going to have to talk to your wife, and whether that's separating from each other or getting counseling and bettering your relationship, that's one of the things you can't really avoid. You can't run away from all your problems. You have to face them, sometimes head on, no matter how uncomfortable those problems are.
That is so true. It's funny that you actually mentioned that, because it's like we proverbially we hide under a sheet. Sometimes we hide under a sheet and we think, well, it's just going to go away. It doesn't just go away. And then
I grew up in a house where everything was swept under the rug, literally. Not literally, but figuratively. Everything was swept under the rug. Somebody was mad at somebody, we move on and forget about it. And that's not how you do it. You got to face the issues, and you got to, even if it's relationships with your own family, you have to tell them what they're doing is hurting you physically, emotionally, whatever the case may be. You have to stand up and tell them. And that's one of the things I strive to tell my kids is there is no manual that comes with raising a child.
No.
You have to figure it out by day, and I'm going to make mistakes when I'm raising them. And I want them to feel comfortable coming and talking to me and saying, Dad, the way you handled me doing whatever, the way you did me, or maybe the way your tongue came across, or maybe the way you yelled at me, I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate that. That made me feel this way or that way. And you come together after all the emotions have settled down. Don't try and do it in the heat of the moment. That's what I've strived to them. It's the same way in life. When you run into somebody that everybody has something, and somebody gets upset or irritated by something, don't go and face that conflict when you're in that heightened sense of emotion. Wait until you've calmed down. It's okay to walk away and come back to the situation when you've both calmed down and had a chance to think clearly on how you're going to resolve whatever that conflict is.
It's funny too, because whenever you say walk away, it doesn't mean leave the premises. It means walk away from that immediate situation and give yourself some time to cool down. Not, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to leave, because that makes someone feel like you abandoned them. And it's not the same whenever it's hey, I need to take a moment for myself. I need to check myself before I wreck myself. Give me 8 minutes. Give me 8 minutes.
Driving away from an area after you've had a conflict and you're heated is not a very smart move at all. Because, like you said, Jeremiah, you avoid rush hour traffic because you don't like traffic. Well, say, for instance, you get in a heated argument with your wife. You're mad. You get in the car. You leave. Well, some guy down the street is pulling out a Quick Trip or pulling out of the grocery store, and he doesn't see you, or he pulls out too slowly and you have to hit your brakes. You're already mad at because of the incident you had with your wife. This guy just pulled out in front of you, so now you explode on this poor guy that, yeah, he might have been in the wrong, but he wasn't in the wrong to get a beat down on the road.
Yeah, what the fuck are you? What's wrong with you? Go to fucking...
That could be the fuse that's lit that explodes the bomb, and that's what I mean by going back to what I said earlier is the little things add up. So if you're in that heated moment, don't leave. If you have to leave, go for a walk.
Oh.
Walk around the block. Walk outside. If you smoke cigarettes, go outside and smoke a cigarette. Just walk away from the situation. Maybe it's go in the other room and close the door and, you just divide space. Don't stay in the same room with the person. There has to be some kind of physical barrier between you and the person that you're upset with in order for you to actually be able to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because if the person's in the same room as you and you're still upset with them, your blood pressure is still going to be boiling. It's not going to come down.
Right.
You have to there has to be a physical wall or physical separation between you and that other person.
Which getting to this point is you have to practice it. This is one of those I have to continuously and consciously be aware and to work on this, because a lot of the times people will actually come to me and they want that easy fix, and it's like there's not that easy button that just fixes. You have to be aware of it. Jana in the comments actually said you never know what the other person is going through, which is you never do.
Absolutely true.
You're leaving. The guy's leaving Quick Trip. What if his brother or his wife or his mom or his dad just died and he's already not mentally in the right space? And then you have a Jeremiah that doesn't like traffic, that just went through a whole fight, a whole fiasco. He's on the road, like you were saying, and one's coming out of anger and one's coming out of like, I'm not even here right now. I'm just trying to hold it together. And that right there is what we're actually experiencing in our world today. Whenever that's where this discontentment for politics, discontentment for religion, it's not a matter of indifference, which we need to work on and we need to talk about, but it's a matter of literally that comment right there. You never know what a person is going through or what they've gone through.
Exactly. And that poor person might not even realize that you're as heated as you are, and they set the bomb off. How many times have you've seen news stories where somebody was irritated for something at home and they went out and they physically assaulted somebody, or they murdered somebody.
They shot up the place.
And then when you get the whole story, you're like, the person that was murdered didn't really do anything to deserve. Nobody deserves to die, okay? I'm going to say that. But that person that got murdered, when they pulled out in front of somebody in traffic and they got shot and killed because of it, there's more to the story than that. And what it boils down to a lot of times is the person that was behind the wheel or the criminal was already in a heightened emotional state from something else. And that person just happened to be the one that, when the bomb exploded, they just happened to be there. And they got the repercussions from it.
The person at the wrong time, or the right person at the wrong time.
Exactly. Which goes back before you wreck yourself. Nobody else is going to know or be able to even tell you where you're at with your emotional or mental level. You have to be that voice that stands up for yourself and says, you know what? That change begins with me. Which
be the change you would like to see.
Exactly.
That's whenever you actually voice it out that way, whenever you actually articulate it in such a sense. It's like, that's my hope, especially for Red Nose Wellness, is people realize like that's why those statements, they're so meaningful, because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
But we need this type of conversation. That's why I hope you don't mind me just, hey, we're live. But I already know that our conversations, truthfully and honestly, are this.
They always get to this point. Exactly. They're always in the deep thoughts. But anyway, I got to go. I got a meeting that started 15 minutes ago.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. I'm glad we were able to have this talk.
Well, thank you for being you, Daniel. I'll call you back later, but love you to pieces, man.
All right. Love you too, man.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
That was Daniel Roper. Wonderful soul, fantastic soul. True. It's true, and I couldn't have said it better. That right there is that's it. That's not all of it, but that's what we're doing right now. Even Jana in the comments, that is finding a way to integrate, saying, no way, traffic is one of your triggers, which is to avoid, and interaction. This is a sense of community. This is a sense of having that honest conversation. This is exactly why I wanted to do these classes. Because you have to have this conversation. You are actively trying to be the best you that you can be. Does not mean you're going to be perfect. It does not mean that you're going to do everything great. But damn it, you're trying. And if you're watching this right now, if you're hearing me right now, and we're engaged in this conversation, you're trying. You're trying to be the best you. And that's what matters. That's the start of good emotional wellness and coping effectively with your life and creating satisfying relationships. It's this. And if you're watching this also, my closing statement, you are not alone. Sometimes you may feel alone. Sometimes emotionally and mentally you may feel alone, but you are not alone. And everything is going to be okay. I mean that. I actually mean that. You might be going through some rough times. You might have foreseeable rough times coming out in the future. But it's nothing you can't handle. Let's just keep on following along with this journey. Let's see where it gets you. It's week 2. Yahoo! Thursday is going to be parenting education. If you can, stop by, say hello. If not, that's fine, and we'll see you when we see you. So thank you for being you. If you need anything, rednosewellness.com, 918-933-0905. Thank you for being you. You're wonderful. I mean it.